Hello everyone! Thank you for coming to my channel. This is the first video in a short series I plan to make about building miniature dioramas. In this video, I'll show some basic concepts in this art and get you familiar with different styles and scales. When I saw a miniature diorama for the first time in my life, it blew my mind. It seriously looked like some spell from Harry Potter that you cast to shrink things or something. And frankly, I have the same feeling even today when I see how paper and cardboard turn into something really special. So if you feel creative, searching for a new hobby, or just looking for an original handmade gift for your loved ones, this video may give you some ideas. Dioramas play a trick on us. They create the illusion of presence, of a tiny window into another dimension. It can be anything, from a war diorama with tanks and blown-up submarines to an elegant Victorian house. You can recreate scenes from movies or video games, capture interesting parts of a landscape, some pieces of urban art in your neighborhood. There is really no limits to what you can do. So the first thing you should do, explore. Go on Instagram or YouTube or just Google and see what other artists do. You will be showered with ideas. There are hundreds of artists who make dioramas, and each and one of them has their own completely unique style. Let's look at some of them. Wow, this is just mind-blowing. And we really just scratched the surface. So go there, visit their pages, the links are in the description, enjoy their works. Believe me, you'll never want to leave. So after you gathered some inspiration and decided what scene you're gonna make, it's time to choose a viewpoint, or how the viewer is supposed to look at your scene. So let's see some types of these. 5 viewpoints, no walls or ceiling. This is the classical diorama, which is meant to be viewed from all sides plus from above. You've seen these dioramas in museums, where you have a crowd of people and you want everybody to be able to see it. So while moving around, the viewer every moment can enjoy a different composition and maybe see some new elements and details. Four viewpoints, when one wall is closed. In this case, usually it will be one wall that is closed and will provide the background to make all the details stand out, as well as kinda add to the atmosphere. The items of interest are spread around, so you have a lot to see, and every time you move around it will be something new popping up. Three viewpoints. 2 walls are closed. This type of framing also gives us space to move around, but still has those benefits of the background walls. If you think about making a living room, it kinda makes sense to show the room this way. Two viewpoints. 2 walls and the ceiling are closed. Closing the ceiling can serve a couple of purposes. First, you can install a lamp and add some natural looking lighting from above, which makes everything 10 times better. Second, you can add some decorations, maybe hanging lianas or half-transparent curtains, or maybe torn cables if you think about post-apocalypse or something industrial. Third is the composition, and I will make a separate video about composition because there is a lot to talk about. But let's look at this example. The idea was to create the private corner where 2 people can hushly discuss their deadly plots. So I decided to put the ceiling just to add some intimacy to this atmosphere. One viewpoint is when the diorama is closed from above and from 3 sides and there's only one open side, from the front, and sometimes can be framed. Although we're limited to only one viewpoint, this framing creates a complete scene that kinda draws you in and gets you to believe that it's real. The ceiling and the background walls play the crucial part in making this cinematic effect. Those dioramas look amazing among books, but you can also make it flatter and just hang it on the wall, like a picture. Okay, so the next thing we will talk about today is scaling, or how small everything is. So, on one hand, we want to make those tiny details that make others gasp. On the other hand, those details need to be big enough to be seen and comfortable to work with. So, let's look at the scale. For reference, I took a figure of a 6 feet or 1.8 meter tall person. I added the mark to show how small the items surrounding this person should be. The first one is 1 to 12. and this is the standard scale for dolls. So if you're thinking about refurnishing your dollhouse, that's the scale you need. The size is comfortable, the details are visible. Plus, you can find many ready-made items such as furniture, kitchenware, or accessories that are produced for dollhouses and sold in toy stores. One to 15 and 1 to 20 are my personal favorites for interior making since they're not too big and not too small. On one hand, you can comfortably work on details and decorations. On the other hand, the result is still fairly small, and the display won't take a lot of space in the room. One to 25 to 1 to 72 are very common in war diorama kits. In those dioramas, you usually see different vehicles like tanks, artillery guns, and scenes contain buildings or half-ruined structures and many figures of soldiers that demand us to compromise and make everything smaller. Basically, the more large objects your scene contains, the smaller the scale would be. Also, tanks and other machines usually come in fixed scale that you can see on the box. So keep it in mind too, because the surroundings should fit the scale of your vehicle. 1 to 60 to 1 to 72 are the right scale for D&D miniatures. D&D, or Dungeons & Dragons, is a role-playing game where the players use miniature figurines and sometimes they also create the environment. Buildings, furniture, treasure chests, etc. So, if that is what you're looking for, use 1 to 60, 1 to 72 scale, or even better, measure your figurines and just calculate the scale accordingly. 172 is not the smallest scale that exists. There are scales of 1 to 100 for houses, 1 to 200 or 1 to 250 for planes or trains. It can be 1 to 350 for something like a warship, or even higher if you think of a large building or a whole neighborhood. You can calculate a relevant scale by taking a human height as a standard. In the end of the day, scaling has one most important role: to have all your objects fit each other. Well, I hope you'll find some of those things we talked about today useful. Most of the things I was talking about I learned just from experience, by trial and error, and I'm certainly still learning. So I'll be glad to read your thoughts in the comments. In future videos, I'm planning to talk about compositions, colors, paints, materials, installing lighting and stuff like that, so don't miss it out. That's gonna be interesting. Please like and subscribe so you won't miss any newly uploaded videos. That's all, guys. I hope you liked it. Bye!